Wrong stuff. Racing lead. WSRL. You can see it there over my Van Gogh inspired paint scheme. We're at the Hungaroring. This is a Formula One circuit into turn one. Lewis Hamilton's fastest lap's a 1:16. I can get a 1:32 in this BMW hybrid prototype. Going to the turns 2, 3, now up to 4. This blind crest is so much fun, but a nightmare at the same time. I'm pretty conservative through there. You can go bombing through it. This little like turn 5 upwards carousel, great for passing slower GT3 traffic. Into this Mickey Mouse chicane, really shows how stiff this car suspension is. Now 8, 9, 10, 11, this is the, I guess, flowing section of the track. This car handles so weird, it's especially noticeable for that turn 11. This is practice session. I managed a 137 or 133.7, and I dive bombed this GT3 right here. This is actually the last lap of the practice session, then we would go on to do our qualifying. I think I went slightly faster, but not much. I would end up qualifying 6th, I think. So this is a massive grid. We've got 9 of us in LMP1s, these BMW hybrids. Then there are 7 LMP2s, which are the Dallara, and then there's a whole swath, like over 30 GT3s, ranging from Porsches, BMWs, Lamborghinis, Ferrari, kind of everything. Start of the race. Yeah, I qualified 5th. Here's the start of the race. You can see my car on the inside there. Going to turn 1. Heavy fuel. There was no warm-up lap. We basically had 2 turns to warm up, so cars are very cold, brakes and tires. The Barrera to the inside, you might remember him from last season in the Mad League. Just trying to feather it around, but ultimately yielding. Getting a bit of a run here up to that blind crest, turn 4, but I mean, you can't make a move there, especially not on lap 1. Everyone's playing it's pretty safe here. Heading towards the tight chicane. Whoa, I have to make a big evasive maneuver. And in the background, we have a spinner. Lost control. Oh, and second place goes off. Get a replay of that. Onboard Castile. He's just going to lock up or spin up the rear. Yeah. This guy went full beans on that thing, and one of the tires off the ground, so it spun around. Later into lap 1. Barrera's acting a little strange here. I was caught off guard a little bit. But I didn't think much of it. Coming into lap 2, going down the main straight. Barrera's not confident on the brakes. He overshoots turn 1. We're going to go side by side. Down into turn 3. I'm struggling to find any grip. I hack the inside, but it's just not a faster line if you can't use that runoff. So heading up to the blind crest. I just got to tuck in. A couple turns later, we're going up to the chicane. Whoa, you see some steering inputs, some tire squeal. What was that? I lose another position. That's Castile coming through. He was second place and ran wide the previous lap. We look behind. We just see a guy totally miss his braking zone. That would be a 4 points incident for me because he hit me, but it's equal. Oh my God, how did he not T-bone me? Basically, this car has really weird braking from the rear because it's capturing so much energy to recharge the battery, so it'll lock up in a way that you have no chance on catching. Lap 3, you can see Castile do a pass on Barrera. So the top 3 in this race would basically finish as you saw it there. They're all, the fast cars, it's really difficult to drive them closely. You see Barrera once again just very inefficient on the brakes. Seems to be coasting into the circuit. So this is a 50-minute race. By lap 4, we're about to catch GT3 traffic. We see this guy Johnson spun, and he's trying to turn the car back around, but the end of the GT3 field is now the beginning of the BMW LMP1 field, or the LMPH field. And he cuts right across Castile, who's trying to make up all the ground from his mistake, and then he goes into the tire wall and has to retire, so really tough luck there. Now on board me, this is me beginning to start to lap the GT3 field, and I'm going to do a replay here. I kind of dove down the turn 1 here, and this time you can get a passing opportunity in a slower car. This BMW follows my line and sneakily passes the other BMW. Clever move there. Now back on board, you'll kind of see what it's like to dance around this GT3 traffic. The only advantage the GT3s have is maybe out of first, second gear. They've got a decent acceleration, but after that, I'm faster in this car everywhere. I mean, I'll even go around the outside of turn 5, heading up to the chicane. No issues. This is my first race in this league. I'm kind of a late pickup. They had some extra spots after round 1, so they kind of asked around to see who would join. So I missed out on, I'm not sure if they did Daytona or Le Mans. I forget what circuit they did first. So I'm probably outside of championship contention. Oh my god, I've really hacked that guy into that turn. If I do that, if I kind of cut off a guy and it ruins a bit of his racing line, his competitor, I try to equally disadvantage that guy in the next turn, so that by the end of me coming through that pack, they're all like equal in disruption. Now moving on to lap 15, we're about halfway through the race. I noticed a guy behind me had pitted. I hadn't realized, oh yeah, we're catching up to the Pro GT3s again. And so he pitted not to deal with this traffic. You can see me, I'm like, I don't want to just dive bomb these guys, and you kind of have to, otherwise you just get stuck behind them through every turn. And then all of a sudden the Ferrari gets sideways through a turn. I get collected in that. I hit the BMW that I was hesitant behind. To 4 points for incidents, so now I have my incident counter is at 9 out of 10. Once I hit 10, I'm forced into a drive-through. So here I am battling more GT3 traffic. I mean, this is the fun part of racing, in my opinion, multi-class racing. So I deliberately stayed out. I wanted to practice more at this. I don't have much experience in this car. And so come lap 23, I'm finally going to pit. This car is amazing on fuel. It's only using 0.4 gallons a lap, I think. So considering the output of speed, it's pretty amazing. Speaking of speed, we'll just speed up this pit stop. So I didn't have a really good pit entry. I didn't really have a good laps behind. And there we go. Here's Barrera passing me. And the guy that spun and tagged me on lap 2 has also passed me. So my pit strategy didn't really work out, although I wasn't really trying to do one. So now, you know, it's basically a 7-8 lap sprint to the end of the race. I'm catching Barrera now. Again, he's struggling under brakes. Oh my God. I dive bomb on, I mean, I can't believe that is a 0 incident car contact. I think the server glitched. I have no idea why there were no incident points handed out for that. So if I had calls that were kind of bullshit before, I got away with one there. So going through GT3 traffic, I'm catching Barrera. It's really difficult when, you know, you have other cars that are battling in lower and slower speeds, but you got to respect their racing line, and you approach them so quickly. It must be nerve-wracking for the GT3s. Again, Barrera is really hesitant under braking, surprising me there again. I talked to him after the race, and he did say that he is uncomfortable with braking in this car, and that discomfort shows. I think the brake bias, I was running the default. It's a fixed setup. I was running 53% to the front. Coming down here into turn 1, I catch up really quickly and just press a little too hard on the brakes. There's that hybrid spinning up the rears, or stopping the rears inefficiently. Watch the tire marks I'll leave behind the rear axle here. I'll slow it down. As I panic brake, you can actually see them instantly lock up, I guess. I actually, if you go back and look at that again, you see that I left some tire marks, some tire tread on the downshift under braking. It actually laid down a patch, which is, this car is so weird, it's crazy. So because of that spin, that's two incident points, that puts me at 11 out of 10. I've got to come in and serve a drive-through. I might have gotten away with not doing that, hard to tell. We do have live stewarding during this league race, so I don't know how that would have been settled. So now we've moved on to the last lap of the race. This is the GT3 Pro class. And this BMW, I think it's being driven by, who is that, Daniel, maybe? I don't know all the drivers yet. Oh, and he spins up the rears. Great save from him in the BMW, but two Audis. There's an Audi party here. Heading up to this blind crest GT4, these four cars are battling for the lead. Oh, a dive. Wow, so this guy was in first and falls all the way back to fourth on the first. Nope, holds position. These two Audis are beginning to get away with it, but we have traffic here. That BMW in front is not on the lead lap. It is lapped traffic. I think guys were talking about their HUDs failing, and I don't know. I mean, you should be able to at least use your rear view mirror and have some situational awareness. This leading car thinks this BMW is giving him the line, but he gets spun around. I think I would have done the same, to be honest. Here it is from my perspective. I'm behind all of these guys on this lap. I see this shenanigans happening, and you can see me coasting. I'm like, I don't want to get involved. I am going to sit back and just watch whatever happens here, and sure enough, also, if any of these guys hit me, that's another drive-through penalty. So I've got to do these last few turns clean. Meanwhile, in front of all this group is Barrera. Turns out he was fuel saving from lap 1. He did not pit. Pit stops are not mandatory, so he tried to take one tank of fuel a full 50 minutes. And now we're coming up to the last turn of the race. He's trying to slosh the tank around to get any last bit of fuel out of it. But he's got to... And then here I come. The last lap, the last turn of the race, and I'm going to pass Barrera. I had no idea that was in the cards. Maybe I would have been more aggressive during the race, but, I mean, there you go. The end of the race, I got 5th. First through 3rd, just kind of ran away with it. But hope you guys enjoyed the coverage, and next race is Sebring. Oh, God.